All right, so for this project, I want to build a low profile, close to the wall, traditional bow hanger for the kids' fiberglass bows. So I'm comfortable hanging them in a vertical fashion. And I'd also like to hang the bow socks down below. So as our hangers, I found some drawer hardware that has a little wrought iron look to it. So what I was thinking is for the top of this that we would hang the bows from it, and then the bow socks would go in these drawer pulls that are like this. So we'll give that a try out and make sure that works before we get started. The wood that I chose for this was a piece of 1x2x6 maple and a piece of 1x3x6 maple. And the reason I chose these two pieces is it's a little bit hard to tell with the plastic on it, but it looks like these might have some curl maple in it, so that should make for, you know, a pretty nice piece of looking, pretty nice looking piece of wood. So I'll get the plastic off of these, and we'll see if we were right in that. All right, so we'll test out the hanging of the bow on the top piece. And that looks like that'll work out pretty good. Next, we'll try out the bow sock. And that looks like that'll work out well. So I have 4 bow hangers and I have 3 of these, so we'll get that planned out and see what size we're going to be at. I don't know if this will show up in the camera, but this piece here has a little bit of the curl in it, and you get kind of like a little 3D effect looking down the grain. This piece has quite a bit on the end, and it's cloudy out right now, so that's a little bit harder to see. But hopefully you can see that, and if I flip it around, it's got a lot right up in here. So hopefully that shows up. So this is a really nice piece of wood. The other one's a little bit better than your standard. So now what I'll do is I'll lay out the things and see how big I need to make it. Okay, I got my measurements set up. What I did is I took my 6 foot long 1x2, I cut that in half, so that's 3 foot long, and then I spaced out my bottom pieces, which were kind of the one that all the measurements were based around, because I wanted to keep this as narrow as possible, but I still had to have enough room for those. So it came out to 26.5 inches. So if we're spacing the top parts out, it was pretty easy. I just divided that by 5, and that's where I got my 4 holes from. I used one of these calipers. These are awesome. If you don't have one, spend the 10 bucks. You'll find yourself using it all the time. The ones down below were a little bit more difficult because they're a little bit odder size. They were 6 1/4 inch in between. So I took those 3 sets off the total and then figured out the spacing in between. They were off just a tiny bit, so I settled up with the 2 outside ones and then just kind of put the 3rd one right in the middle. It was like maybe a 1/8 of an inch off or something like that. And then I laid it out and I was like, okay, well, I did these even between this board here, but it might look better if I did it with this board here and the ends. But before I moved it around, I wanted to see where 16 on center was. It just so happens that it falls right on these 2 outside ones. So my plan is that I'll turn these sideways like that. I'll drill the hole, get them into the wall, and then reposition them up straight, and it'll hide my screws. So I'm ready to start drilling my holes now. I used the painter's tape so that I could line it up and not mark up the wood at all. So I'm ready to do that. The top one I'm going to put on the outside of this, and then the bottom one I'm going to put flush with the inside. That way when the bow's hanging down, it's not hitting those as bad as it would if they were evenly up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, I'll drill the holes for the screws. I'm probably going to have to get new screws because these ones they sent me were a little short for this wide of a board. And then I'm going to drill a couple pocket hole screws in, pocket holes in to screw into the side here like that on both. Looks like it's going to rain today, so I'll try to get that wrapped up and we might be putting it all together tomorrow. Okay, we got the holes drilled out for the knobs, the pocket holes drilled out and screwed in, and we have a coat of Polyshades Classic Oak Satin on there. I chose this color because I wanted it just a tad darker than the natural maple, but not very dark. And I wanted the Polyshades to try to bring out some of that curl. So isn't that awesome? Maybe you can really see that curl in there now. And it's pretty well down the whole length of this top piece, and this bottom piece has quite a bit in it, and this section is just awesome. I mean, that turned out fantastic. The side rails, they don't have a whole lot in them, but they have a little bit. But we're gonna let that dry, and then tomorrow we'll put on the hardware and hang it up on the wall. Okay, Megan, how do you like your bow hanger?
It's a good bow hanger. I like the little swirls and the beautiful swirls.
Well, how about you put the hardware on it?
Okay.
Wow, that was quick.
I know.
Okay, Megan, are you ready to hang up your bows?
Yep.
Can you do the same magic trick before?
Yep.
All right, let's see it.
There we go.
Beautiful. We hope you enjoyed that video. It was a really easy project to make, and it serves a great purpose on hanging up your bows, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Thank you.